Johan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, you have a pretty creative way of getting on the show. You sent me a video of you checking out the podcast, and I was really impressed. That was a great way to do it. What was your process for doing that? Do you use a specific software?
Yeah, it's a program called Loom, and it was actually recommended by my coach. So I have a coach, and he says, why don't you use the program Loom so he can personalize those messages where you can show your face and you can actually show people that you've seen their material, their content, their website, that you've done some research instead of sending an email that might sound generic or that people think, wow, this is sent to like 10,000 other people. So I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. And there's a lot of positive response. People saying, wow, this is unique. Okay, I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, it adds that personal touch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now your coach, is that a business coach, life coach, business coach?
I think mostly now business coach. Yes, yeah.
Smart.
But yeah, I think we all need coaches. I think, I think a lot of people think we need coaches when we really are in trouble, when we have problems with our mind, our belief system. But I think it's vital to have a coach. Even when you go to the gym, even when you look good, you still that coach who's always going to push you to do better and better and better. And I think, sometimes we think we're smart and we know everything, but there's so much that we need to unlock. I think a coach can really help with that experience, especially someone who has more experience than you have, who knows more about specific topics than you do. So, and I think it's vital to have a coach. So even if you think like you're very successful, you still want to have a coach.
So that's a weekly session or monthly or?
Yeah, weekly session. Yeah.
So you review the business and go over some strategies and see how things are working. Great.
Exactly. And accountability as well helps a lot. Yeah.
Now, you're originally from the Netherlands, Holland, and then you moved to Ireland. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was kind of fed up with Holland. I really want to go to a new country, but just for a few months, just to clear my mind, to find myself or discover myself, just to get out of that environment, right? Because it's very easy to just follow a specific path if you're surrounded by specific people. And I just wanted to be in a place where no one knows me, where no one has expectations from me. So I thought, then I found a job in Cork, and I never heard of that before. And it's the second biggest place in Ireland. And I thought, okay, well, I will stay there for a few months. And then I ended up staying there for 4 years. And then I went to Dublin. Yeah, so somehow, I don't think I will ever go back to Holland permanently, but I go there a lot. Yeah.
Now, I've always heard that Holland, that's like one of the happiest places on earth, isn't it? With and you got sick of being in the happiest place in the world?
Yeah, that's fascinating, right? Because sometimes you think the grass is green on the other side, and sometimes you have to experience that that's not always the case. So when you make that switch, then you think to yourself, oh, you know what, Holland is pretty good. Yeah, there are a lot of advantages, and I was not able to see that. So yes, Holland is definitely a very good country, and I'm going back soon because of the corona and the COVID, and so I will go back soon and we'll stay there for a while. But yes, it's a fantastic country. Yeah, I do appreciate it a lot more. Yes.
Yeah. So you said you were kind of drawn to Ireland because people didn't know you there or they didn't have expectations. What was your experience with that when people don't know you? How is that experience for you?
Yeah, so for example, when you share a specific idea, like you want to build something, you want to produce something, people are not going to use your past against you. Like people have these ideas about you that you're supposed to be doing something. But when you're in a different country, then people will be like, okay, so who are you? Why? They will ask more relevant questions like, okay, how did you come up with that? What's the reason? And so they want to know more about you instead of people just using what they've seen, what you've done in the past against you, or they will measure that against your future plans and then automatically say, yeah, well, are you really? Is that what you're going to do? Like, I don't really believe you. So it's just refreshing to be in a place where no one has judged you yet. And you basically start from a clean slate, tabula rasa. And I think that's why I stayed eventually. Yeah. I could build a whole new me. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds inviting. I think we all need that, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, most of your work is about, beating addiction to social media and our phones. So can you tell us a little bit about your company and what you do in terms of that?
Yeah, so I always wanted to do something in the self-development business. And I had a lot of problems with my screen time and my social media use. And this was 10 years ago. Like the term of screen addiction didn't exist yet. Like we started to use social media. Facebook was started to become popular around 2007 in Europe. And I had the very first Android smartphone. So that was a novelty. I showed it off a lot. And started to use Facebook immediately. And so the reason why I said, no, I'm becoming way too addicted is basically because of my ex-girlfriend. So basically, I met my ex-Brazilian girlfriend. She was crazy about Facebook. She was posting all the time. And I was posting 5-6 times a day, showing our love to other people. Like it was very important for us to let other people know that we're still in love, that we always see each other, that we do a lot of things together. Like we had to prove ourselves to them.
Hmm.
And for me, it was like, well, okay, yeah, it is what it is. And, we're supposed to use Facebook. So, okay, these are the new rules, no problem. But one day we were walking on the beach and she was like drawing a heart on the sand. And then she asked me, Johan, can you please kneel in front of the heart? And she wrote like, Johan loves Fernanda, like on the sand. So I kneeled. And then she took a photo. And then 4 hours later, it was on Facebook. And then she said, look what my boyfriend made me. But it wasn't me. I didn't draw the sand. It was,
Yeah.
and so we started to lie about things. And then it made me I became more aware of the fact that why are we lying about it? And why can't we have, for example, one-to-one meetings like online, like on Skype? Why do we have to speak publicly on each other's walls? Why can't we just be together? And then the main reason why I just stopped is because I have this mantra that says, I don't want to die stupid. So there's always this voice in me, and which is also one of the reasons why I went to Ireland, that says you have to do something, you have to produce. You can't be too stagnant. You don't want to die stupid, meaning you should always enter the uncomfortable zone. That's where you want to be. But I wasn't in that zone at all. I was very comfortable and I was producing, but I was producing posts, a Barry White song from YouTube, a Celine Dion song from YouTube, or like a nice quote, a poem that you post or a photo, and that's it. So because of the World Cup in Brazil, I started to create a website and she became really angry because there was no time anymore for me to post on her wall. And we broke up. And that was basically the last time I used Facebook a lot. So now 2018, I started social media Breakup because people really started to talk about social media addiction, phone addiction, excessive screen time. And I thought, you know what? Let me share my experiences. And now with this pandemic, a lot of people are talking about it. So it was already exploding in 2018. And now because of the pandemic, there's a lot of other people who are into this space now. Digital wellness coach and digital well-being coach. So yeah, I thought this is a big problem. I have experience with that. Let me help people and share my experiences.
And what is your experience before that?
So with my excessive screen time.
Well, I mean, like what kind of jobs were you working, a career?
IT.
Oh, okay.
And all marketing and IT. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I really wanted to learn about building websites. And that's why I created websites of the World Cup. So I was really into online marketing and the internet basically.
Okay. Now, a lot of the listeners are entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So how can we balance using social media to build our business as compared to using it for escape?
Yeah, so I have a 6-step formula that I always use to help people. But when it comes now to this pandemic, I would say the question now is not how much are we using our screens. I think we all use our screens a lot. I use screens a lot. Now, for example, I use this laptop and I'm talking to you using the screen. So the question now is more like, why are you using your screen? So especially with this pandemic, you want to ask yourself, what are you doing exactly? Is it mindfully? Is it mindlessly what you're doing? Are you doing something productive? Are you consuming? And then is it okay that you are consuming? Are you conscious about it? And also like, how are you using it? Like, is it okay? Are you disappointing your spouse? Are you disappointing your children? Was it agreed that you are allowed to use your screens? Like, are you happy with the fact that you're using your screens? Or do you have any guilt or something like a negative feeling that's playing in your mind while you're using your screens? So in other words, you really want to be conscious about it. And so that's always the first thing I say when people talk about, oh my God, I use my screens a lot. Is it really bad? I said, no, it's normal, because we all have to be inside and we want to communicate with other people. And because of the internet and social media and applications like Zoom, it is all possible.
Mm-hmm. So how do we know if we're addicted? How do we know if we have a problem?
Well, do you feel like a sense, like this urge that you want to go for your phone? Like, you know, for example, there's no notification and your phone is being silent for a half hour. Are you okay? Or are you going to take your phone to see, is everything okay, phone? Like, have I not missed anything? Have I missed a notification or not? Or like this weird urge, you know, that we oftentimes feel? Or do you lose yourself? So when you go for your phone, has 1 hour passed, 2 hour passed, and then you're like shocked, oh my God. And then you're not really sure like why you spent 2 hours. Like you cannot really explain why you lost 2-3 hours.
Right.
Do you put your phone underneath the pillow? Is it always next to you when you eat? Do you have a negative feeling after you're done with a social media session or a phone session? Do people complain about the fact that you use Facebook a bit too much or social media a bit too much and that you should be spending time elsewhere? Or have you tried to reduce your screen time already, but you failed multiple times? So is your relationship or your career or your studies, are they being negatively affected because of your screen time? Are you losing yourself? Are you not like relaxed anymore? Are you always anxious? So these are all signs how you can tell like, okay, yeah, I'm not happy, because it's not even the word addiction, but it's just like, I'm not happy. I'm just compulsively using my phone or social media.
Right.
So, because I know people don't really like the word addiction, but then I say compulsive behavior, problematic use. And that's how you can catch yourself. And then you have to be honest about, okay, yeah, maybe I should really reduce my screen time.
And I like on your YouTube channel, you have an episode about making an appointment to see a friend or have coffee and, you know, have a drink. And then you have a lot of things you can talk about. Whereas if you're keeping so much in contact every day, you get together, you've got nothing to say. You're already caught up.
So true, so true. Exactly, exactly. It's one of all these small strategies that I introduce on YouTube. Exactly. Like, don't talk too much and then meet in the offline world. But sometimes people are like, okay, well, why should we meet in the offline world? Because we can always text, and everything, something comes up, I'm there, I'm texting you straight away. You're going to answer me straight away. So why meet up in the offline world? We become lazy, we become complacent.
We
So
forget
yeah.
we forget how much is missing when with just a text compared to being there in the presence of someone.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, so true. Because it's so different in the offline world. Connecting, see each other, and because now we have to use emojis, and hopefully the person will understand, like that I'm being sarcastic, or that I'm being funny, or that I'm serious, or sad, or happy. That's why, for example, with WhatsApp, another video that I made was that explained send audio messages, where you can convey a message, where you can convey with emotion, and you don't need to look at your screen. You can just like look around and just be talking, and you know, you can be happy, you can be sad, but you don't need to look at the screen or use emojis, but you can at least use your voice. Doesn't replace offline connection, again, doesn't, but it's a good replacement.
Can you tell us about partnering up with the EndNow Foundation in India?
Yeah, so they're going to publish a few books, and I'm reviewing their books, and we collaborate. They're very much into digital citizenship. That's actually step 3 of my 6-step formula. So they're very much about the dangers of internet use, about deep fakes, about not sharing your passwords. And they help in the people, the population in India a lot, because they have a lot of problems with game addiction and social media addiction. It's really big in China, in India. So you see that they also start to immerse people who want to help people with screen time. So and we started to collaborate, and so we exchange information, and like if I have something to review, then they will help me out, or they will help me out, and I help them out, and yeah.
So you're quite the international businessman here.
Yeah, that's the aim. Yeah, exactly, because it's exactly international. That's an advantage of the internet, that we can collaborate. So it doesn't matter if you're in US or if you're in Russia or in South Africa. Exactly. So that's why we should embrace the advantages of technology. Like, we should not be a Luddite at all. That's not. I will never preach that. I will never say that. No.
I also saw you on Boston News Channel. You were interviewed.
Yeah, true. Because that's a perfect example of someone or a group or like that channel who was like, okay, someone helps people with screen addiction, like that exists. I hear that a lot, especially 2 years ago. Like, oh wow, is that a thing? And then they ask themselves, wow, is that really a thing? But then immediately after they say, yeah, I can imagine you're doing that because I know a person who has a lot of problems. Or yeah, my sister is using social media constantly. So
Right.
it's they're shocked, but at the same time, they think, yeah, it's a logical move. Yeah.
How did you get that gig of being on the news show?
Yeah, so I sent them a message because they made another article
Hmm.
and then about screen time related to parents. And I said, okay, I like the article. I'm doing some, like, I help people with screen time. So then she replied back and said, okay, let's do an interview. Let's talk about it because I'm intrigued.
Was that a text or video that you sent?
That was a text message. It was an email. Yeah,
Oh,
no, yeah,
you're good about being proactive. I need to be like that. I need to get out there
yeah,
more.
yeah. And then use Loom. I think that's the best. Yeah,
Okay. Loom is like a screen capture video.
exactly. Yes,
Is that a monthly fee for that?
it's free actually. It's free.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Well, my listeners will
yeah,
appreciate that. Now, also,
yeah.
I wanted to talk about on your website, you have ECourse, Udemy course where you create the course and then it's even reasonably priced. What was it, $15 for whatever course I saw?
Yes, actually, it's normally it's 200, but
Hmm.
I know Udemy. Udemy is always going to offer promotions, so it can
So
give it for 20 or 50. It depends.
I bet you a lot of my listeners have interest in creating some e-courses, and I do as well. What's the process with that, and how did it go? How's it been going for you?
It was actually, yes, the first course, so it was very challenging. I thought it will take 3 months, but it ended up taking almost 1 year because you have an idea in your mind and you think, you know what, I'll just explain about A, B, and C. But then somehow D comes up, and then F comes up, and then G comes up, and then, okay, you know what? So in my case, okay, I talk about Facebook and Instagram, but let me talk about TikTok. Okay, then Snapchat. Okay, WhatsApp. Okay, you know what? Viber is also big. Let me talk about Viber. And it's interesting that you also learn during the process of creating the course. So the more I learn, the more I think, whoa, I need to explain this as well. I need to explain this as well. And like this whole feature of screen time, it was more complicated to understand than I imagined, especially screen time to, to downtime, to set limits. Basically, it will help you to use your phone less, screen time, the feature on iPhones. But you can also set it up on your child's device. And that was kind of tough to understand because there were a few things were unclear. And then luckily Apple helped me out. So it all took a lot of time. And also filming. So they say there are some requirements when it comes to filming and lighting. And honestly, my videos, I don't think they're that professional at all. Like I used a camera, like an external camera, and okay, sorry, mic, an external mic, and like an average camera. So, but they accept it.
Hmm.
So yeah, because they will have to review the course,
Yeah.
and then they'll tell you, okay, modify this, modify that, modify that. And so I had to modify a few things, and then it got published.
So you have one course, and how long is it?
So it's almost 13 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's one of the reasons why it took so long. So there's so
And
much.
that's all video?
Yeah, yeah, and also PDF.
Oh, I
Every
see.
comes a PDF. Yeah.
So they can go through it now. So you can go in a control panel and be able to see like a dashboard and see how far people have gotten. And can you do that?
Yes, exactly. You can see that. You can see who joined the course, how far they are in the course. But the advantage of Udemy is that they will promote the course for you.
Hmm.
You don't have much control in terms of pricing because they offer these promotions,
Hmm.
and also they keep a piece of the amount.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to building courses, you really want to go to Kajabi and to Teachable and think of it, I think is the name. And they really allow you that freedom where you create your course and then you allow how much you charge for that course. It's all yours. But yeah, the promotion, that's something you have to do yourself. You have to do the marketing. And yeah, Teachable is
So
not going to promote. Yeah.
so the big advantage to Udemy is that they do the promotion,
Yes, exactly.
but you
Exactly.
get less money with Udemy than you would these others.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Less liberty. Yeah.
And I noticed that on Udemy, they batch it too, like at the end of yours, they've got, 5 or 6 other recommendations that are similar, that are unrelated to you, but a similar subject. So,
Yeah, you see, that's one of those ways. Yeah,
yep.
that they will promote other people's courses. But by the way, Scott, if anyone is interested in that course, they can email me to johan@socialmediabreakup.com, and they can say that they've seen me on your podcast, and they can get it for free. I'll send them a free link.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can see how it looks like. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, I'm always interested in how people read the news and consume the news. So what is your process for consuming the news, and what do you like to read for books?
Okay, good questions. In terms of the news, I don't watch it much. Like when the pandemic started, yes, I was checking it out every day because I'm like, what is going on here? Every country is locking down, Holland, Ireland, India, all of these countries. But normally, and now as well, I don't watch the news a lot. I might read like 5 minutes a day to see, okay, what's happening? Is the world still safe, right? Are we still surviving? But I don't really focus on news too much. Absolutely not. I think it's vital to protect your brain from absorbing all that negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because it rubs off on you, it has effect on you. When you watch all that negativity, you really think the world is a dangerous place. Everyone is everyone is unhappy. Everyone is miserable. Bad things are happening all the time. I think that's not the focus that you wanna have for yourself. So I avoid the news as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly like you said about books, that's something I want to focus on because I know that will serve me, that will help me. If I watch the president of the US, because in Holland, we see him every single day and people talk a lot about him, for example. But that's the thing, right? You have your opinion. Even if people don't like him, they still talk about him. But he would still win because he's the object of your mind. He's the main focus of your mind. So you're still talking about him. The focus is not on something that is serving you. So you see, the news is beating you. So even if you disagree, still, why are you talking about it? Focus on something else. And that's why reading is very good. Yeah, so I basically only read self-development related books, books about addiction, books about habits, books about relationships, psychology. And yeah, I think one of my favorites is Joe Dispenza. I think I like him a lot. He has a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I think that was very good.
Okay.
James, spiritual books as well. Yeah.
Did you say James Clear, Atomic Habits?
Yeah, Atomic Habits. Yeah. Yeah. That's also very good. Yeah. Highly recommendable. And yeah.
Johan, what's a hobby you enjoy that most people may be surprised about?
Board gaming. 100% board gaming. It's like, so in step 5, of the formula, I say embrace life and you want to be active. And board gaming is the main activity I recommend because of the pandemic. We're indoors, we're inside. So people want to know what can we do? And I always say board gaming because we all think, and even I thought there's Clue, there's Monopoly, and there's Stratego, and there is Scrabble. But there's so many games out there. There's this like secret community out there who's creating board games and who are playing board games, but fantastic board games. And I was so emotional when I found out about modern board gaming. And I'm like, wow, how could I have missed this? Because it's like you're a protagonist or you're an antagonist and you have this experience that you have with your family and you're immersing yourself in that story. And while immersing yourself in that story, you don't even know how to spell Facebook, or you don't even know your mobile device. You don't think about it. You're just in that story, being a pirate or you're being an alien or a knight. And you can even play co-op games. So you're like together, you're playing against this AI. You have to strategize, you have to work together, collaborate. And it's just so many advantages board games have, because it's good in terms of cognition, in terms of communication. It's just fantastic. When people are shy and they play board games, you see them like they feel more relaxed and they're happy what's happening. They talk about what's happening. So, and I can recommend many board games, and there are many fantastic board games that I know people don't know about. So that is my hobby.
Well, you haven't played Monopoly with my kids because sometimes they're not happy.
Exactly. But Monopoly is the game that just makes people fight all the time. It's known for fights. Exactly. It's frustrating, Monopoly. Yeah.
Right.
It's educational, but yeah, it can be frustrating.
And I always remember when someone is winning by a long shot, you want to just say, all right, you won already. But that person winning just says, no, you can skip it this time. They want to just savor that being the kingpin. Right?
So true, 100%. Like, I'm done already. I know you're going to win, but they really want to proof. They want to see that proof. Like, okay, you're out of the game. I really
Yeah.
want.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're sitting up taller in their chair, and they got all their.
Get all the money when you pass that
Oh
street or
yeah.
hotel or yeah. All typical. Yeah.
Besides your occupation, what other hats do you wear?
Um. mm, 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 mm. Well, in terms of hats, I always try to be like one version of myself.
Hmm.
But but other things that for example, I do.
It's interesting because about half the people I interview seem to lean more on, that they're one person throughout all these roles and different hats, and then the other half they say, I have to switch. I have to keep switching gears from hats. I have to consciously, make a transition. So I think it's very interesting.
True, I know. No, that's why that's the name of your podcast. Is so fascinating. Yeah, the hats that we wear. I think it's yeah. It's I think it's normal. Like sometimes we have to be introvert or an extrovert depending on the situation, and sometimes we have to leave our ego be. Sometimes our ego wants to speak and we have to leave him be and adapt to the person, try to understand, not immediately share our own opinion, but actually listen and try to understand, to be empathetic. And but in terms of the hats, I always, whenever I use that one of those hats, I always try for that hat to be part of me. That I'm not faking. That I'm not being unauthentic. That is
Mhm.
like part of me. Like maybe it's a part that I don't show often, but I don't want to regret that I've been that person in a specific situation. And I just don't. That's why I always try to focus as much on being one version of me. And doesn't mean
Mhm.
like I'm just always very boring or very serious or just funny but it should harmonize all these different like Johans of myself. And I'm still like finding out, okay, is am I doing this because I like it or don't I like it? And is it just to please someone or not? And I think it's a very interesting question because no one has ever asked me about hats. And I think, like you said, yeah, sometimes we feel that we have to switch, but are we happy about the switch or aren't we happy about the switch? Like, do we think, like we have to make these sacrifices sometimes, but are they good or are they still serving you or are you basically sacrificing your authenticity?
Hmm. Very interesting points. Where can people go to find out more information about you and what you do?
Social media breakup.com. And then you can find me on Facebook. No, wait, no, not Facebook. Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Yeah,
So you don't do any Facebook.
I did, but lately, no, not really.
It
Maybe
it it draws you in probably more than the others, right?
it's no. I think the toughest is YouTube. That's the only one I still have to use mindfully. YouTube,
Oh,
because
because you get drawn in.
exactly. But it's not because I will watch videos of people bathing in Nutella or something. These.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's because there's so much educational content. Like the books that you read, all that content is on YouTube. So sometimes I really have to say to myself, okay, enough, just one video and then you're done. But in terms of Facebook, no, I think it's very boring. I think Instagram, Twitter are more interesting than
Hmm.
Facebook. But it's because I never use it. That's why I don't want to just go on it for the sake of checking the fan page. But I might start a group in the future. That's much more interesting than creating a fan page.
Okay. I
Yeah.
noticed on your YouTube page that you've got a nice look, like all your thumbnail pictures, have a branded look. What has been your experience with YouTube with, getting engagement and people following and that sort of thing? What works and what helps to get people in?
That's a good question, and that's the question I want to focus on as well. Because now I'm like producing, I'm producing, and the focus was on creating that habit of, okay, are you able to produce enough content that you can post a video every single day?
Hmm.
And I'm able to do that now for a few months. So I like your question because that's the question you want to ask yourself eventually. Okay, so you know how to produce the content. It's not great, it's not fantastic, but at least you've developed the habit. So how can you now get better? What should you change? How can you measure the activity, the engagement that's going on per video?
Hmm.
And yeah, how can you increase subscribers? And honestly, I don't really know what to do for now. I know that I'm not going to improve my video, because I would 10 years ago, I would probably tell myself, you know what, you should improve the thumbnails, or, you know, you make a mistake in that video, you should not post that. But I've learned that as long as 80% is okay, you should post it.
Hmm.
As 80%, because if you focus too much on one video, on, okay, this is incorrect, then it's going to be hard to publish a video every single day.
Right.
So you got to just forgive yourself, and don't be too perfectionist, and develop the habit, and then you can ask yourself, okay, how can we build this channel?
Well, you're bringing up a very good point for my listeners too, is that, you know, when you're an expert in something and you're an authority on something, that you have a specific focus, but then, you know, where is that line of where you can expand out a little bit and still be related to that, like from a productivity or time management? So what's also related? Could it be something, you know, inspirational that, you know, whatever some NBA sports player said about peak performance that could be related in a bit, you know, but it's somewhat different. So I guess it's identifying all those different subcategories with your main categories, and that opens it up wide, you know, for more work.
Exactly. That's why, and like you said, you read, you do the research, you're in that niche, and yeah, you use these different self-development related topics, and they connect to your niche, because eventually what we're doing, it's self-development. So we can, at the end of the day, we're helping people. So there's so much content out there, and there's so many ways of saying that same thing, and that's why some people feel more attracted to this person or that person, because he or she is just saying it in a different way, a more spiritual way, in a more direct way, maybe. So yeah, there's so much content out there, and but the key is keep reading about it, reading the news, but news connected to your niche.
Right, exactly.
Blogs, books. Just think about experiences, the people you're talking to, and they also give a lot of inspiration in terms of, okay, I can share this or that, or this trick or that strategy. Let me share this. So yeah, because a lot of times, yeah, you're right. Sometimes people think, how am I going to come up with all this content?
Yeah. Well, it was in Martha Stewart's book, The 10 Rules by Martha Stewart, that she kind of talked about that. Like, she was pitching some of her ideas about whatever craft work or something else, and then for a newspaper, and they were liking the articles, but then the person was like, well, how are you're gonna run out of stuff to talk about? And she goes, never. She goes, I can talk about this and cooking, and I can, you know, how to do napkins. So I think it was that she had for her first article was about folding napkins in a particular way. And then the guy, you know, the supervisor just said, well, how can you know, how much can you talk about napkins? And she was wise to be able to open it up. I found that in the last couple of years, I've made that kind of switch to, when I'm reading the paper, I'm really looking for, like, how can I be helpful? How can I get some ideas to help the bad news and the negativity, and try to use that in a productive way? So
yeah, that's a good tip, actually. Yes. Yeah. The general news. Yeah. You use that and you convert it. Exactly.
right.
We all experience specific emotions now because of the news. If you, yeah, that's a good one. Create
That's right.
content related to that emotion.
How can I be of help, and how can I be of service? We
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
that the big problems.
Exactly. Yes.
In fact, you're saying Holland is always talking about Trump, and we'll send him over to you.
Yeah.
Send him right over.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. Yeah. Because we're always, so yeah.
In Ireland too, he could be the co-president.
Even the co-president, yeah. I don't think Alan's going to accept him, but yeah. So, but we, you know, we were always very careful to judge, because yeah, we're not in US. We don't know how it is there, and but yeah, it's that's an also thing about the news. You will believe everything you see on the news while you're not even in that country. Like, again, you're from US, you can see what's going on, but we just see it from that one screen every single evening, and then we think we know it all. Like, that's it.
Well, that's why I read the newspaper. I read three newspapers usually every day, and with that, I feel like I'm in control of what I bring in. You know, when I'm watching the news, especially like the local news, is just one awful negative story after another, and I'm like, why would anybody watch this? Like, what's, you know, this murder here and that, and it's just all bad. But when you're reading the paper, it seems to me like you can pick and choose, and you get some things that some little kernels of hope, I find.
Yeah, and that's important. And it's good to read about these different perspectives. I think
Yeah.
that's important. Yeah, because one source is not always going to tell the whole truth or just one part, and you're going to interpret it in a specific way, which might be not the right way, or
Yep.
yeah.
And I've turned that into, how I create the content for the podcast too. Like I'm starting to do a segment where it's just like productivity in the news or creativity in the news. So using those kind of examples, like recently I was talking about how the basketball player, what's his name, Jimmy Butler, they were asking him on the Miami Heat if he prepared for specific opponents during the playoffs, and now he's going to be matched up against this other person. And does he prepare specifically for that person? And he was saying, no, I don't. I basically see shapes on the floor. So he's just reacting to the patterns that he sees, and that you can move a lot quicker than, oh, this
Wow.
guy usually drops to his left. He's just, I don't care who you are. You're just a shape to me. And I find that to be very empowering in a way.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's a nice way of saying, that you're so focused, just you're busy with yourself, not with the opponent or competition or
Right.
I like it. Yeah.
Well, Johan, there's been a lot of great ideas here. I think people are going to really enjoy this episode. You've been a pleasure to have on.
No, same here, Scott. No, same here. Really, it's my pleasure as well. Like I'm always available to you for any tips when
That's
it comes
great.
to social media use. Yeah, for sure.
Have you had any Guinness?
No, honestly, no alcohol for like 2 months.
Okay.
I'm probably the only person in Dublin probably who can say that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not a huge Guinness guy, but
No, it's you have to get used to it. You have to get used to it. If you would be, I know you would like it.
yeah, I'm sure I would like the food. I love, well,
Yeah.
they don't even have corned beef and cabbage in Ireland, right? That's just a St. Patrick's USA thing?
The corned beef. No, that's a good one. American thing.
Boiled meat and boiled potatoes and carrots and vegetables.
No, I think they have that here. Yeah, like Irish stew. That's what they call it, Irish stew. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. They all mix it all together. Yeah.
Well, Johan, my final question, excuse me, my final question is, what's one action step our listeners can take to be more productive and fulfilled?
One action step, tough one because there's so many. Of my formula, I would focus on digital habits. So oftentimes when people ask me, okay, Johan, I want to end my screen time now, like I've reduced my screen time now, I would say focus on something that will push you away from your phone instead of you pushing your phone away. Just find something that attracts you, that will make you turn around and look on that activity so you can place your energy and focus on that thing. So really actively focus on things you want to do. And set boundaries. So introduce these rules. Understand how you want for your phone to enhance your life. How does your phone fit in that desired version of yourself? And then like set boundaries, like a no phone zone area where phones are not allowed. When you dine, for example, the dining area becomes a no phone zone. When you watch a movie with your spouse, that area becomes a no phone zone. Have these areas assigned no phone zone when you take on a specific activity. And then you want to leave your device in a phone lounge. That's what I call like a designated place where you're going to leave your phone. Because a lot of times people are going to discuss, where should I leave my phone? Can't I just have it here next to me or just there? No, there should be no discussion, no debate. When the no phone zone rule applies, we all know that the phone is going to be in a drawer or in that room. You can charge it at the same time. But those are pretty big screen boundaries that I introduce quickly when people say to me, how can I reduce my screen time? And also then use the do not disturb, the notifications, the dark modes, night shifts, all these options on your phone, and screen time and digital well-being as well. Very vital if you want to reduce your screen time like ASAP for your phone to help you out.
Great. Well, that's helpful. It's been a real pleasure, Johan, to have you on the show.
Same here, Scott. Same here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. It's great to have you here at the All the Hats We Wear podcast. This show will teach you, the entrepreneur, the time management skills you need to be joyful, productive, and fulfilled. I'm your host, life coach, and productivity expert, Scott Snow. We go all the way to Ireland for our next guest. Our special guest today is Johan Versteegh. He's a coach and social media addiction expert. Johan suffered from social media addiction. He didn't want to completely abstain from technology because they are part of life and here to stay, so he learned how to use technology mindfully. These days, he helps individuals and families recover from social media addiction and become more aware of the detrimental effects screens can have. His mission is to help you live your life with purpose and free from technology addiction. You're meant to do great things. If you want to be an innovator and visionary, you have to manage your busy life like one. The All the Hats We Wear planner is the planner for the future. I want to give you a free month of the planner to try out for yourself. Nothing will slip through the cracks anymore. When you use the All the Hats We Wear planner, you'll have everything you need at your fingertips. All of your goals, a vision statement, a list of daily habits, and a checklist to track your progress. Key information for the small and large projects on your plate. Daily sheets to clarify your top outcomes for each day. A week at a glance section to plan for the coming weeks, and much more. The All the Hats We Wear planner will be your roadmap to a more joyful, productive, and fulfilling life. To claim your free month so you can see for yourself how it will streamline your busy life, visit allthehatswewear.com.